Hey, everybody.
What's up, guys?
We'll just wait for someone to come on, even just one person. I have our topics down here. We're just finishing up lunch. All the volume for lunch. Michael was super hungry, so he wanted to make a Greek salad.
I feel so good. I'm a little bit full and I still have a lot left to eat.
It would say right here, right?
I'm not sure.
I think it does. When someone comes on. I'm pretty sure. Should I check on this?
That's why I like doing it on OBS sometimes because like I can see how many people are watching on here.
It says here.
Oh, okay. I can see if there's only like 2 people watching, I get insecure and I like turn my phone over and then
well, it says right there.
Yeah. On OBS you can't see that, that's what I'm saying.
Oh. Cool. Well, hey guys, it's Facebook Live Friday. We do a Facebook Live here every Friday, whether it's a coach that's coming on to talk about some topics, or it's Michael and I, or it's me, or maybe me interviewing a longtime member, or I might start doing some interviews with some of our athletes. Who knows? But it's going to be here every Friday. Next Friday is going to be Coach Josh. So if anybody's being coached by Josh right now, he'll be here next Friday. So today, Michael and I are going to talk about a few things. It's listed in a Facebook post we just made. We're going to be talking about how Brute, Michael's company, and WAG can interact together. WAG Alumni, just a few details, not that many because there's more coming soon. How to choose a weight class if you are competing in weightlifting or in any weight class specific sport really, but primarily weightlifting because that's just because what I know the best and what Michael knows the best, or powerlifting. And why we don't follow through with our goals and how to set appropriate goals and how to implement some self-accountability. So I'm going to let Michael start with how Brute and WAG can interact.
Okay, so first off, I just want to say I'm very, very excited that we finally, that Adee and I have finally figured out a way to have our companies interact. Obviously, we've wanted to do that for a long time, but we had these companies when we met already, and we didn't want to just like throw them together and mess up what each other were doing. And so we took our time, and now we've figured out kind of the first step in connecting our companies. When we started, or when we met, we already had Brute Body, or we launched it like early on in our relationship, and we had these carb cycling plans. And in general, I believe that what Working Against Gravity does is the best nutrition service on the entire planet. But the problem is Brute Strength is not a nutrition company. So I didn't want to look at what Adee was doing, look at what you guys are doing, and try to copy that. So we've taken our time, and basically where we're moving towards is to a place where all of our nutrition is through Working Against Gravity. So right now, what we have is, if you're already on this program, then we give you access to any of our programs, whether it's Brute Body or Games Prep or Compete, any of our programs for 50% off. Again, we highly believe that WAG is the best nutrition service in the world, and and because you're a member of this group, that's why you're getting access to Brute Strength for 50% off. I think that everybody should be doing Working Against Gravity, and that's why we're behind the scenes. We're working on even getting rid of the carb cycling plans at some point. So bottom line, if you're watching this video, it means you're a member of WAG. You're doing the best nutrition. Continue doing what you're doing on the nutrition side, and let us take over your training. So that that question was from a Brute Body member I know, because that's the only program that we offer nutrition through right now. So that's basically it's really simple. Just keep doing what you're doing, and then that's it.
And the whole reason that the first step before Brute goes entirely to working against gravity nutrition, giving 50% off was to make it more affordable. Part of that normal 100% fee contributes to those nutrition plans. So taking 50% off is assuming that you're not going to be using those carb cycling or plans, that those templates that Brute Body is providing. So that's why the 50% discount is there. So to make it a little bit more affordable to do both programs at the same time. So that answers that question. The next question is just about WAG Alumni. There was a couple people that were talking about it. The program's launching on May 15th. This is going to be just a couple details. It's going to be for anybody who's been with Working Against Gravity for 6 consecutive months. You'll be able to switch your membership to an alumni membership. I'm not going to say any more about it because we have a full-on information coming. I'm going to do another Facebook Live dedicated just to the alumni program, and we're going to have a blog post about it coming out probably around May 1st. And we're going to be announcing it through email. You're going to get tons of information about it. It's really exciting. It's a lower price point option for people that are ready for a little bit less accountability from their coach. And we're going to ease you through it. There's nothing to be scared about. We're here. We're also going to make it really easy for you to switch back to the regular program without waiting on a waiting list. So there's really no fear about switching to the alumni. You can switch back and forth. We're going to tell you when the appropriate situations would be to switch back and forth. We'll give you all of that information. So there shouldn't be anybody scared about the alumni program, and we're really excited about it. We're still making sure that it's going to be the highest value for you guys, and also coding that all into Seismic, because now that we're in Seismic, we've got to code it and make sure that it works properly and test it and work out all the bugs. So anybody who works in software definitely can understand where I'm coming from. Next topic, how to choose a weight class. So in weightlifting and powerlifting, I'm not as familiar per se with wrestling or with, I'm not as familiar before like with wrestling or MMA or that kind of stuff. I'm not as familiar. They do it, most of them have a 24-hour weigh-in, so weight cutting is a little bit more extreme in those cases because you do have 24 hours to replenish. In weightlifting and powerlifting, sometimes powerlifting you'll have a 24-hour weigh-in, so you can use things that are more extreme, but often you have only 2 hours before you have to actually lift, and that is a very short time period. So extreme weight cutting techniques like extreme dehydration or really, really cutting carbs super low is not necessarily optimal to be able to perform at your best. So when choosing what weight class you have to be in, I think that there's a couple things you have to think about. One is, what is your current body fat percentage? So if you're female and you're like 20% or over, you probably have some wiggle room in there to cut down a little bit. So if you're close to a weight class below, you can probably make that weight class below and maintain. If you're under that, you're probably already pretty lean, and cutting down to a weight class, let's say it's, because weight classes are pretty big. So if you're going from 63 to 69, that's 6 kilos. It's like almost 13 pounds. So if you're like in between that and you need to cut 6 pounds to get to the lower weight class, and you're already under 20% body fat, that might not be the best option for you if in most scenarios. If you're trying to make an Olympic team, if you're trying to win a national medal, if you're on the brink of qualifying for any international team, Pan Ams, Commonwealth Games, that kind of thing, then break an American record, break a Canadian record, break your national record, whatever country you're from, sure, definitely do some of that kind of stuff. You know, I work with an athlete right now, Tia Toomey, who came second at the CrossFit Games, and she was an Olympian. We definitely do some of the more drastic cutting techniques to make weight, but she's trying to win medals at the Commonwealth Games. So when those types of goals are on the line, I definitely would be willing to make a little bit of riskier decisions. But if you're doing this just to have a good time, cutting weight is not fun. It's not comfortable. It's not fun. You're going to feel depleted. And if you don't have this like real strong goal that's driving you towards doing that, then sometimes it's going to be difficult to actually push through that struggle. And there is something to be said about growing into a weight class, or even just being a light athlete in a particular weight class. Being a 67 kilo, 69 kilo lifter is a cool thing to be. I mean, your Sinclair is going to be better than the 69 kilo athlete, and you really just going there to be the best that you can be. I don't see anything wrong just not actually being at that specific number, whether it's 69 or 63. That is my stance on that. How do you feel about weight classes?
Crushed it.
Yeah?
Yep.
You think that's good?
Yep.
If you're really close, if you're like a pound away, 2 pounds away, I mean, that stuff is pretty simple. So I would definitely cut to the lower weight class if you're like 1 or 2 pounds over a weight class. But if you got 6 or 7 pounds moving in either direction, I don't think you necessarily have to focus on gaining a ton of weight, because you might gain body fat, or cutting weight super hard to get down to the lower weight class. Take some time, especially if you're new to the sport, take some time to just get comfortable. Where does your body like to be? So for me, for instance, I was a 63 kilo lifter for 4.5 years. It was not the easiest thing in the world for me to be 63. I won a bronze medal at nationals last year. That was my goal. I do not cut weight anymore, and I sit very comfortably between 150 and 155, which is all the way at the 69 kilo class. If I went back to competing in weightlifting again, I definitely would not cut back to 63 kilos, and I would just hang out here, because my goal right now is not to win a national medal. So it doesn't justify cutting 10 pounds to make a weight class. So that is my 2 cents on that. I hope that makes sense. The questions: what if you're right around 20% body fat and at the top of a weight class? Is it better to stay there, say you're 58 kilograms consistently, a long-term cut? I think if you're around 20%, it depends. If you're 58 kilos and you're 20% or over body fat, it might be worth it to try and cut to the 53 kilo weight class. It also is going to depend on how tall you are. So if you're a taller athlete, so if you look at 58 kilo athletes consistently, they're generally around like the 5'3", 5'4", or shorter. So if you're taller than that, then you have opportunity to grow and to build more muscle mass. So I would probably stay there and maybe cut a little bit and then gain muscle back. So don't necessarily cut all the way to the 53, but shed some body fat and then work on gaining some muscle while keeping your body fat low. So I would probably stay there. If you're a shorter athlete and you're consistently the same height as somebody who's 53 kilos, maybe like 5 feet, 5'1", 5'2", then it might be worth it for you to be a 53 kilo athlete. But I would definitely talk to your coach. Your coach is going to be able to help guide you, and they also see how your body reacts to how much calories you're eating. So if you're eating really low calories and your body's not responding, then it's not going to be worth it to try and cut, and then you won't have the proper amount of fuel to train. Then if your body would train better, and you'd be better with more food and more fuel. So your coach will really be able to tell from seeing what you eat every single day, how your body responds, and what is going to work well for you. So I would definitely talk to your coach, but it's a tricky situation for each person, deciding what weight class you should be in. I hope that helps.
And guys, I'm not texting over here. I'm just writing down some notes for what we're about to talk about.
Proof.
I can't see that.
They can't see that? Can I see it? Can we see it now?
Anyway.
There you go.
Anyway.
Next.
So next we're going to talk about goal setting.
Why don't we follow through is the question.
Yeah, so several people talked about setting goals. Why don't we achieve the goals that we set for ourselves? So we're just going to talk about goal setting in lots of different ways. And first off, I think it's important to realize a lot of us set goals that are based on what we think other people want, right? We make goals that we think other people will think are cool. And in my experience, for myself, as well as what I've observed in my friends and my clients and athletes, when we make those types of goals that aren't really consistent with what we want, the first time it gets really challenging, we're just going to give up. So, for instance, and this has happened to me in the past, I've told Adee, I want to get shredded, I want to get really, really lean, and I've said that many times. And I'm starting to realize, part of that is I think other people would think that is cool, and I think, that would I would get a lot of love on social media for that, but it's not really consistent with some of my other values. That sometimes when I've said this, like it's been more important for me to remain social, right? It's been more important for me to go out to eat when I'm traveling and I get to see friends that I haven't seen in a long time, or when I'm traveling to hang out with my family. Just for me, it's been more important to have a completely stress-free experience with my family. And so I'm not willing to be consistent enough to get absolutely shredded, right? And we're changing that now. It's about to happen.
And why do you think that's changed right now?
I have a very, very clear goal. So I recently qualified for the CrossFit Regionals again, and CrossFit Jakarta asked me to be on their team. Literally immediately, it's easier to get out of bed early. It's easier to do ROMWOD every day. It's easier to hit my macros every day. We're going to talk about goal setting more and more, but having a very clear goal makes these things, having a very clear purpose especially, makes all of this stuff easier to accomplish.
Yeah, and I think the key thing that you're saying there is that it has to be something that you want. Like, not something that you just think would be cool or might be awesome, or you see somebody else doing it and you're like, I want to be just like somebody else, because you really don't know what that person has to go through to get to where they are and the kind of work that they have to put in. And we've talked about this so many times, of aligning your expectations with the work that you're willing to put in. So if you want to be absolutely shredded, like vascular veins in your abs, like really, really low body fat percentage, then you have to understand what that actually requires in terms of diligence, consistency, precision, and how that's going to affect your life. So that means that going out to eat is not going to be simple. You're going to have to look up the restaurant beforehand. You're going to have to sit with the menu and, go through it and see what your options could possibly be. And it can be simple if the goal is really something that you really want. And if it's something that you really want, it's going to be easier for you to get rid of those temptations and be like, it's okay, because that goal is more important to me. But the second it's a goal that's not actually for you and you think it's for somebody else, it's going to be significantly more difficult for you to actually stick to it. And then you might even get into this loop of guilt and shame and disappointment with yourself. And then that's just problematic overall. So really assessing the goals that you think that you want, are they goals that you really want? So like, I would be a good example. I won a bronze medal at nationals last year. I look at the girl who's winning a gold medal, and she's snatching 95 kilos and clean and jerking 110. Could I do that? Sure. Do I want to do the work that is required to actually do that? No. So it sounds glamorous to say, of course I want to win nationals. I want to win a gold medal at nationals. It sounds amazing to do that. But am I willing with my current situation to do that? No. So it's easier on me to accept that and just be okay with the fact that that's just not a goal for me right now than it is to keep hammering a goal that's not actually for me and fits with my life.
Love it. So the next one, I'm going to use the example of me training for regionals again. The next one, one of the reasons that people fail when so they've set a goal, one of the biggest reasons that they fail is they have no accountability, right? It's just them that knows about the goal, and it's just them keeping themselves accountable. With this team that I'm on now, I have 5 other individuals that are counting on me to be my very best. So not only do I want to, it's important to me in my life to do my very best in everything I do, right? I want to, if I say I'm going to compete in something, then I want to train right, I want to recover right, I want to eat right. But now I also have 5 other people who are dedicating a large portion of their lives right now to that same goal. And if I don't pick up my end of the rope, then I'm letting them down. And we don't always have the opportunity to have that level of accountability for every goal. But take a CrossFit class, for example. You go to a CrossFit class, you make friends, you gain training partners, and when you miss a day, they're checking in on you. And it's not like this formal thing, but they're just checking in on you like, where's my buddy? You're here every day and you've missed 2 days in a row. Little things like that really, in the long run, are going to help you be more consistent, and they're going to help you achieve your goals. They're going to help you stay more motivated. So the take home point with that is find a way, like share your goals with others and figure out, and just tell them like you want them to hold you accountable. You expect them to hold you accountable. Make it, and when they do hold you accountable, make it a safe place for them, right? Don't make them feel bad for calling you out because you missed the gym, you blew your macros, you didn't meditate for a day when you said you were, whatever it is. Really like thank them for calling you out because you told them you wanted to do that.
Yeah, I think something like that really helped me. For people that have a really hard time, like they're not in this optimal situation that Michael's in, where he has this team to hold him accountable and he has this like really specific, really strong goal that's pulling him, or purpose that's pulling him. So for me, when I was training for weightlifting, I was training all by myself. I had nobody to hold me accountable. I would go into the gym, I would sometimes slack workouts, and like, I'm not going to let myself down. I'm going to forgive myself. So I wouldn't push as hard. And then when I would track my macros, he wasn't tracking his macros. So if we would go into a difficult situation, I would have a conversation with him beforehand, or it didn't need to be him per se, but just having some accountability partner that they don't even need to be following the same plan as you per se, but they know what your goals are and they know exactly what you need to do to get there. So if you end up in these uncomfortable situations where someone's maybe making you feel bad about tracking your macros, or making you feel bad about needing to go to the gym, or whatever it is, you have this other person to step in and back you up. So I know a lot of people that go out, a lot of clients I work with go out to eat at friends' houses and they get offered food and they feel really guilty saying no. So it's a lot easier for someone else to say no for you. So if I'm at his parents' house and his parents are offering me a drink, or they're offering me some pecan pie or whatever it is, he'll step in and be like, oh, she's following a strict diet, like she's not going to be able to eat that, instead of me having to say it when I feel so uncomfortable and guilty for saying no.
As long as I wasn't training for regionals, I would eat yours too.
Yeah, exactly. So he would take my piece too. But having somebody that's just aware of what your goals are and asking them, be like, hey, if you notice that like I'm having a hard time, staying on track, or saying no to somebody that's offering me food, or whatever the situation is, getting to the gym when I know I should be there, having somebody else being able to support you in those awkward, uncomfortable situations, for me was like a game changer. I don't think I would have been able to continue to very strictly track my macros if he wasn't there to like step in sometimes and be like, she doesn't want to drink. It's okay.
They were very sad, but we got through it. Okay, the next one. You kind of touched on this already, but failing to plan. You guys basically get this idea shoved down your throat, and it's for a good reason. When you have very big goals set for yourself, which you should, then you have to have a plan in place. So, let's think of another one other than tracking your macros. Like for training, one of the big ones, like we travel a ton. And this is definitely something that we continue to, it continues to be a challenge for us, but we're moving in the right direction. So the problem is when we travel, a lot of times we have super busy schedules when we land, and we have a lot of things in our schedule that are just a little all over the place, and so we have a little less control over our schedule. And if we don't plan where we're going to train and when ahead of time, then either we get a really shitty training session in, like body weight outside of our hotel room, or we don't train at all. And that's happened way too many times. So one of the most important things for us is figuring out when and where we're going to train. It takes a very small amount of time, right? Maybe 10, 15 minutes of researching gyms in the area, making sure there's an open gym class time or whatever it is we need, and then contacting the gym owner to make sure that it's okay. Just a little bit of extra work in the beginning saves us so much. It helps us achieve our goals better.
Yeah.
And that goes for anything in life.
I think that, like, with the original question was what stops people from following through, kind of like our situation where it's not like, this isn't like 100% or 0%. So when you're trying to achieve something or you're trying to get consistent with something, you don't have to be 100% on it or 0%. So it's not like I'm going to travel, I didn't get to the gym the first day, the rest of my trip I don't need to go to the gym. Like, it's not, you can give yourself a little bit of slack sometimes, especially if you're just starting to get consistent with a goal. It's not like you have to be at the plan, you have to get to the gym every single day. It's not so hard and fast. It's not 100% or 0%. It's just becoming aware of the fact that you're not planning that kind of stuff is going to help you plan it in the future. But don't be like so crazy hard on yourself if you don't accomplish all of your goals right away. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
So like, if we went on a trip and the first 2 days we didn't go grocery shopping and we didn't go to the gym, we could still fix it on day 3. We could still go to the grocery store on day 3 and go to the gym. It's not a wash. And it's okay that when we first start trying to implement a goal that we're not on it 100% and being 100% perfect. Like, I started to meditate and I was like, I'm going to meditate every single day. I didn't meditate every single day. There's so many days I'm like, I don't have enough time to meditate. Of course I have enough time to meditate, but I'm not going to beat myself down for not meditating every single day. If I get 3 days out of 7 at the beginning, that was amazing for me. And I'm going to celebrate the 3 that I got that were more than the 0 from the week before, instead of being so hard on myself that I, set this expectation to get 7 out of 7 and I didn't do that. I think a lot of times people don't follow through is because they get trapped in this cycle of being disappointed in themselves for not following through 100%. But following through 100% is really hard, especially when you're trying to accomplish multiple things. And I think that brings in your next point.
So one thing that we talk a lot about is when you have a really big goal, you have a lot of like little micro goals under that. And I use this example. I interviewed a good friend of mine, Chris Powell, who's the host of the TV show Extreme Weight Loss. And on that show, they have people that have to lose like 200 pounds plus in a year. And at the beginning of the show, they get everybody around in a circle and basically they tell them, you're all amazing people. Take a step back. These guys are incredibly excited. Guys and gals are incredibly excited. They have the opportunity to completely change their lives, to be on national television, to have elite nutritionists and personal trainers and doctors and all this stuff. And he gets them in a circle and he says, you're all amazing people. You love those around you. That's why we chose you, but you have no integrity. And everybody just loses it. And he thinks, and everyone thinks that he's calling them a bad person and this and that. And then basically he tells them, no, you have no integrity with yourself. You say over and over and over that you want to lose weight and you never follow through. And so step 1, what he teaches them is that we're going to build integrity with ourselves. You're going to build integrity with yourselves by learning to do one thing at a time. And so they have this huge opportunity, and all of a sudden they want to drink 2 gallons of water a day. They want to give up all sugar. They want to drop their calories by 1,000. They want to do all these different things, right? But he says you can pick one thing that you're going to do for the week, and I want you to do that every day. And then once you've done that every day for a week, then you can add in a second thing. And so what he's doing there is he's giving them the opportunity to build trust with themselves. So they're telling themselves, I'm going to drink 2 gallons of water, and then they're able to succeed in that one thing. And basically they can now trust that they can follow through with something that they set for themselves. So one of the problems that we see all the time is people just set too many goals for themselves at once. What we recommend is pick the goal. Like if you have a shitload of goals that all lead to this one big vision for yourself, start with the thing that's going to make the biggest impact first, right? That's going to make the rest of them easier. So we were talking about this in the car ride home, and Adee brought up a really good point. For both of us, waking up early has been one of those things. We say that we want to meditate every day. We want to do some kind of yoga every day, journal, read. That's a lot of things, right? And rather than say, I want to do all of those things every day, because what would happen is we would wake up late sometimes and we just really don't have time for any of that stuff because we have so many other things in our schedule. So by focusing on waking up at 5 or 6 a.m. every day, we have the time, right? So pick things that are going to be like that lead domino, right? You put one thing in motion and it makes everything else in your life easier.
Yeah, other example with that would be if you're just going to do a raw mod every single day. That can be a lead domino to feeling better, feeling more recovered, getting to the gym a little bit fresher, and that will improve your performance in the gym and help you get to the gym more often. Waking up earlier can help you prep your food or plan and schedule your day for your macros or make it easier for you to hit your macros. Those kinds of goals, that one goal, like waking up early or doing a raw mod or whatever it is that is going to be your goal, is going to make all the other things so much easier. I think that's like such a good point for sure.
So let's take a big step back because we've been talking about like ways that people don't follow their goals, but we haven't talked about why it's important to have goals in the first place. And I think someone asked something relative to that. Basically, I have a couple thoughts on this. One, if you think about driving a car, you could be driving all day, but if you don't have your destination put into Google Maps, then you're really not going to get anywhere. You're just going to waste a lot of gas. And I think that's how a lot of us spend our lives, right? If we don't have the direction that we're headed, if we don't know where we're headed, then we just wake up in the morning, we go to work, we train, we have fun with our friends, but we don't really know where we're going. Someone asked about the goal setting that we just sent out with Brute, and this is actually something that I think we've talked about on a WAG livecast before. It's an exercise that we call 10-5-1. It's you set 10-year goals, 5-year goals, and 1-year goals. And in these goals, you can do 3 different things. You can set personal goals. You can set, excuse me, I'm drinking sparkling water, so I'm burping all over here. You can set personal, health, and career goals. When you're setting these goals, make them big, hairy, audacious goals. And basically, you want to worry about and think about the where. Don't worry about the how. You need to make these goals so big that you don't even know how you're going to get there right now.
Yeah, you're like scared to say it out loud. It would be like embarrassing to say it out loud because everyone would be like, what? Like, no way you're going to get there.
Right. And by creating a vision for your life like that, that's what's actually going to get you excited. And that's how you're going to start to create like true passion in your life. If you set goals that you feel really align with your purpose and your values, then you're gonna be a more passionate person. So start with the 10-year goals, personal, health, and career. Then you go to the 5-year goals, personal, health, and career. Then you go to the 1-year goals. Again, really just think about where you want to be rather than how you're going to get there. And then from there, then we can talk about things like setting process goals, which is a completely different story. But I think we did a live cast on that too.
Yeah, and also there's a blog post that Michael wrote that's on the WAG blog. So if you search goals or goal or Michael, it will come up on the WAG blog.
Oh, the other thought. When you have these goals set for yourself, right, one of the benefits in doing like a kind of a more formal goal setting process or basically just sitting down and really thinking about what your goals are or even what your purpose is because when you're very clear about what your purpose is, all of the little mundane things associated with that purpose are easier to accomplish. So for me, for training for regionals, if I was just like going about it nilly-willy and I don't know what that is. If I wasn't very clear about why I wanted to compete, then every time I'm super sore, I'm in a little bit of pain, it's going to be very tempting to take a day off. It's going to be tempting to not hit my macros if I'm hungry. It's going to be tempting to skip an ART session or bodywork session if I'm like being lazy or don't have time. But I'm very clear that one thing that really matters to me a lot is when I make a commitment to other people, I want to do my very best. And I've made a commitment to the other 5 people, this coach, this gym, that I'm going to be the very best I can be in May. And so that is one thing that pulls me forward, right? Anytime it's challenging, I think about those people and I can't let them down. It's also it's one of my values to, when I make a commitment to myself, that I give it everything I've got. So I said that I'm going to compete in May. So I have to do everything that I can to be the very best I can be for the team and for myself. So basically, by doing some of these formal goal setting things, by really sitting down and identifying what your purpose is, all of the little mundane things associated with that goal are going to be easier to accomplish.
Perfect.
Got anything else? Y'all got any questions?
If you have any questions, you can post in the comments. We'll be here for just around 10
What was
more
at the top?
minutes.
It was about the price. I think the price, that's a good question up there, and that's go up a little, huh? Yeah.
Oh, here for people who it's Eva or Ava. For people who have a lower price point from before, will the alumni price be stopped? No. So the price point for the alumni is going to be just the same price across the board. So if you're one of those lucky people that are part of Working Against Gravity and your monthly price right now is lower than what the alumni is going to be, then I would probably stay on the WAG standard program. You know, like that's there aren't that many people that are in that situation. Most of the people are at least paying more than the alumni is going to be, and we chose the price strategically because of that. So if you are at a lower price point than what the alumni is, then it's going to be up to you if it's a benefit to you to only check in once a month. And it's also going to come with a whole new set of content, a whole new set of information, education. So if that's worth it to you, it might be like an extra $10 or $20 or whatever it is. So that would be something for you to consider. But it's definitely going to be one price across the board for everybody. Just joined. Not sure if you touched the subject of nutrition on WAG versus nutrition with Brute. Yes. So Erica, we talked about that first thing at the beginning of this video. So once we post it, just rewind it and watch it right from the beginning. We talked about Brute nutrition and WAG nutrition and why we did the 50% off of Brute and all of that. So just watch the beginning of this live video. Anything else? So we talked about that. If you want to find any of the other Facebook Lives, they're uploaded to the Vimeo channel or the YouTube channel. So there's the Team WAG YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/workingagainstgravity. There's also vimeo.com/workingagainstgravity. So you can find all of the uploaded past Facebook Lives on there. And this one will be up there as well eventually. And I think that's all that we have. So
other than tomorrow is WAG Unplugged.
Oh yeah, tomorrow is WAG Unplugged. So I hope that you guys do something that you don't usually do. What are we doing for WAG Unplugged tomorrow? We're gonna work out.
We're going to a crawfish boil.
We're going to a crawfish boil. We're gonna start our WAG Unplugged a little bit early, and we're gonna go tonight. We're gonna do a float tank. We're really excited about that. If you guys have never done a float tank before, float tanks are really awesome. We're very lucky to have a zero gravity facility here, which is pretty high end in terms of the treatment before the float spa and after. So we love that. If you're in Austin, zero gravity is pretty amazing. We're super pumped for that. And last week we went to Fredericksburg, Texas. So whatever you guys are doing, WAG is closed on Saturdays. So nobody's going to be available. We hope that you go out there, play with your kids, go do a workout, go do a hike, anything that you're like, this is what I love about WAG Unplugged. So we live in Austin, right? So Austin is like the music capital of the world, but we never go see music. Or if you live in Colorado and you're like, I love Colorado because the mountains are there, but you never go into the mountains. Or you know what I'm talking about? Like there's like you live in this city that's like known for this stuff, but you never go and do it. This is your opportunity to do that. So every Saturday, you have an entire day where a whole group of individuals are doing this with you. We're collectively going out there and we're purposefully leaving our phones in the car or not bringing, planning all our macros beforehand and bringing our food with us so we don't have to program it into MyFitnessPal and just spending the day in the park. Zilker Park in Austin, or we're doing something that we always say we want to do, but we never actually do. Have board game night with our friends, or do you have any other unplugged suggestions?
I would just if you've not tried leaving your phone like in your car or at your house for a night, I really encourage you to do that. It's as simple as it sounds. It's an incredible feeling not having to worry about checking in with someone or checking your email or checking social media. You can really just really stay connected to people in the moment so much more, and it's such a relieving feeling. Yeah. So really, I challenge you guys to try that this weekend if you haven't yet.
Totally. And if you're the kind of person who's like, oh, it's upside down on the table, like I'm not. The second there's actually studies on the fact that your body will reflexively react the second it feels a vibration or it sees a message come up or a notification. There's a physical reaction that happens in your body regardless of whether you're going to check it or not. So there is even evidence that you'll do that physical reaction in anticipation of a message. So leave your phones away, leave them at home, unplug, WAG Unplugged, take a photo of it, and then leave your phone away, and then let us know how it went on Sunday using hashtag WAG Unplugged. We hope that you guys are all really enjoying the initiative because last weekend was epic. We loved it. You loved it?
Yep.
One more. I love going into the mountains because I never get cell service. It's so relaxing to be off the grid. Yeah, we love it. All right. Well,
all right, guys.
Thank you for listening.
Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.